I call the coming Neptune in Aries period of 14 years the reset button of history. This will be a time when new civilizations will be born. This will be a time when old identities will die, when new human self-concept will be born, like a human 2.0 or, hopefully not human 0.5. But you see when we compare to history, how pivotal this is when the modern civilization was formed 140, 50 years ago, the last time Neptune was in Aries, and it's coming again and will birth a new civilization. We'll have new identities, revolutionary ideas, spiritual awakenings. You will see how this will be something we've never witnessed before. What the church calls revival, what New Age calls 5D, it will be massive. New mythologies, new radical technologies. It's all coming because of Neptune and Aries. Hello, my name is Lada from astrolada.com, and I will be your astrologer for today. You can just listen to me, you don't have to watch me. I'm not going to be showing fancy pictures, just put me at the background and enjoy. Take it as a fairy tale, like the energy of Neptune, or if you want, let it sink into your subconscious so it prepares you for this incredible new passage, new beginnings for humanity. And not only Neptune enters Aries once every 140 years, 150 years, but Neptune this time is from the beginning, from February. It will be joined at 0 degrees Aries, which is the beginning of everything. 0 degrees Aries is the beginning of the whole horoscope, the whole astrology, the whole, if you want, creation. 0 Aries, the beginning of all creation, is meeting there with Saturn, the manifester of reality. Saturn is like someone that takes the ideals of Neptune, the inspirations. Neptune is highly inspirational, ideas, downloads from the invisible realms. Think of Neptune as the 99% of invisible matter, and Saturn as the 1% of visible universe. Saturn is concrete reality. It's what's manifest is the atoms, the matter. It's the familiar world for us because the whole universe with galaxies and everything is thanks to Saturn being able to the principle of Saturn. I mean, not to our little Saturn planets, but the principle of Saturn, which is manifesting of the into material form, while Neptune is the principle, the archetype of everything else. So if you want to say this is the visible world, is Saturn. The rest, the invisible, the 99% of black matter, call it whatever you want, the spiritual worlds, the 7 heavens, the beyond, what is beyond the visible matter, but what is also the archetypal ideas that are around which matter forms is Neptune. So we have these two, I would say, universe creators coming together, the principles of those planets. It's not that just our Saturn and Neptune created the whole universe, but they represent certain archetypes. Like in every solar system, they should be planets that represent much bigger universal divine archetypes. So we have as a sign in our skies, Saturn and Neptune, the makers, the creators of civilizations, of new ideas. Neptune and Aries is the sign of the head and the ideas as well. And 0 Aries where they meet and where they'll give results for the next 35 years because they're starting a 35 years cycle, Saturn and Neptune. Last time was in 1989 when new reality was born for Europe and people like us in Eastern Europe. For 50 years or 60 years, we were under communism, and then communism fell down. The Berlin Wall fell down. New civilizations were born, new countries were born that didn't exist till then. They were all under the, big Soviet Union. The same thing is happening, but at the level 10. This was just the last time Saturn and Neptune met in 89. They reshaped the reality of the face, the face of the earth, the reality we lived in, but in a more administrative way. It's Capricorn after all. It's like falling of boundaries, changing of rulers. Capricorn, the administration of the laws. Now they're meeting in Aries. Aries is fireworks and wars and civil unrest. And I'm not saying the next 35 years it will be constantly like that, but a spark will be ignited and is being ignited. We're already seeing what's happening in Iran. We had Saturn and Neptune very close together in Aries in the summer of 2025, but they still didn't do the conjunction. But we saw a little bit of what Neptune and Aries will do, and Saturn together in from the spring and the summer. Then also where we're seeing already, even before the conjunction, Venezuela fell down. We'll see like a chain reaction already into the whole 2026, 2027 of this new old identities and nationalities dying and new national identities or new human identities being born. As you see, actually, when Neptune was in Aries the last time, 150 years ago, the German Empire was created. New national German identity appeared, centered around Prussia. But till then, it didn't exist as a nation. It was the Austro-Hungarian something. Then it was also when Italy was created. It was till then, before Neptune in Aries, and Neptune's other qualities, unification, to unify. You know, Neptune is the primordial soup where the spirit world where everything is unified. I am you, you and me. I feel your feelings, I read your feelings. When we are disembodied, everyone who's been disembodied and comes back to earth and tells, they say, well, you experience every single thought and feeling. There is no boundary between you and another person. It's more orgasmic than the best orgasm. You just know fully the other person. Or a blade of grass. And in the invisible world, there is grass and trees, and they're probably more in the archetypal, more perfect form than here, but they exist. And they say you'd look at the grass and you'd feel it. You're the grass. You'd experience life through the energy of a grass. So Neptune, for us, it's a bit hard here on Earth to feel this, but psychics maybe feel it when they touch a stone and they see everything that's happened around the stone, or who owned this ring or whatever. But it's Neptune has energy of unifying, making one. And when it's in Aries, Aries is about national identity or human separate identity. Who am I, or who is this nation? So it will form new national identities like it did with Italy when Italy was unified under Garibaldi, like it did with Germany. So I think new nations or new conglomerations of nations will be born in the next 14 years till 2039, when Neptune is still in Aries. A new, so we'll get to that, but it's like I want to start one by one. I want to first look at what Neptune did when it was in Pisces, because we're saying goodbye to Neptune in Aries. And by the way, this whole video is going to be about Neptune in Aries, how it's going to affect us personally, but not by sign, individually and collectively. As humanity, what to expect, even on the stock markets, what to expect geopolitically, what to expect nature-wise, art, music. That will be interesting, so you're prepared to know. If you want to know how specifically Neptune will affect your sign, say maybe your Aries moon, or maybe your Capricorn Venus, and Neptune will square your Venus over the next 14 years at some point. Or maybe your Libra sun, Neptune will oppose you. Neptune will, from Aries, dissolve the old you, will dissolve, if it's your Venus, your old love style and relationships, and build new identities and so on. So I have created a special video for you. It's 3 hours on Neptune in Aries that focuses on personally astrology. You don't need to know any astrology. I show you how to calculate if you have any planets that Neptune can affect. And it's very big discount on it right now. It's only $20. I think, yes. And how Neptune will affect you if it's transiting from your fifth house or sixth house or 10th house. 10th house can make you a movie star. Through your sixth house, it can give you a job in a Neptune sector, like medical or spiritual and so on. I give very specific predictions, and you don't need to know a drop of astrology for this to take this webinar of 3 hours or longer. Was it 5 hours? Sorry, I think Neptune in Aries is 5 hours. I recorded it last year, so but it's very relevant on a personal level, and exactly it will show you when this will happen to you, which years, what specific events to expect, and to be prepared so you don't lose your mind, because Neptune is the planet of going crazy a little bit because it pulls us into this other dimensional reality, even though we're in the material reality and we're like, what's just happening? This is not real. Sometimes there is actual spirit things happening around. I'm going into Neptune area. I hope I don't start seeing spirits. So I'm really not ready for that yet. But yeah, I tell you so many stories, real stories of clients, people around me that have gone through Neptune. So yeah, it's available if you want to take it. But let's get back to Neptune in Aries. But first, we have to say goodbye to Neptune in Pisces. So you get even a better idea what Neptune was about. And Neptune in Pisces was in its own sign. It went there from 2012 and it stayed till now, 2026, the beginning of 2026. And Neptune in Pisces was like Neptune squared, because two times the same influences. Neptune is the channel of Piscean archetype. Neptune is the Pisces, is the invisible world, the primordial soup. Call it like divine and manifest creation. It's manifested, but on a different vibration where you don't see it, and it's invisible matter. And what happened, guys, before 2012? Things like yoga, meditations, astrology, all those spiritual topics, life, death, past lives, um, death and rebirth, spiritual science, if you want. It was so few people knew it. I was into that from a child, and always people would look at me like I was an alien. And it exploded from 2012. It was thanks to the infrastructure of social media. It was thanks to many people sharing their near death experiences and telling about stories about the afterlife, telling about stories from what it was like to die and come back, or experiences of seeing Jesus or saints, and now it's so mainstream. This is what Neptune in Pisces did. Passively, we received information and we were kind of conditioned more to open up to spirituality, which is Pisces. This was beautiful. And by the way, last time Neptune was in Pisces was in the 1840s, 50s till 60s. And that's when Spiritism appeared. Till then, it was strictly either Islam or, traditional Christianity and the other world religions. And then suddenly comes this new spiritual thing, which is more Spiritism. People start like table shaking, calling spirits. And it becomes more and more popular that there is something invisible, that there is spirit worlds and so on. But the true new beginnings of the new spiritual awakenings and revolutionary spiritual new movements come during Neptune in Aries from the 1860 to 1880 almost. This is when the teachings of Helena Blavatsky, which is theosophy, comes. This is modern Western occultism. This was also the reformation of the Hindi religion with Swami, forgot his name. And the Eastern started coming into the Western with new Swamis coming, and Helena Blavatsky also talking about that. This was the beginning of Christian science. Forgot the name of Anne Becker, something that created it, that she wrote exactly during Neptune in Aries. So you see, Neptune in Pisces that you had till now awakened, like made us more aware about spiritual, because Neptune in Pisces is all about spirituality. Astrology became popular. All of those topics, amazing teachers appeared that merged science with spirituality during Neptune in Pisces as well. And this will enhance but the really big new beginnings in spiritual advancements, in spiritual revolutions will come with Neptune in Aries and spiritual awakenings. Neptune in Pisces is more, let's call it passive. And we will you go on YouTube or somewhere and you watch a video about, oh, I saw Jesus in my living room, or a revival in a church, or I died and I saw heaven, or you know, Rudolf Steiner, the Western, so it was more passive. Now becomes the active phase when active people actively, when Neptune goes into Aries. So Neptune in Pisces was making us aware of those realities passively, opening up to it. But there is danger also opening up to the invisible worlds passively. We saw it, a lot of misleading information, a lot of channelers that give you a lot of good information, but they channel lower beings. And with the good information, they throw in things that are untrue, that can, uh, some of the beliefs that you can just sit and do nothing and things will come to you that you can just meditate it into existence. That you can just imagine it into existence, so that the point of being incarnated is just to have fun and enjoy yourself. Absolutely not true. The point is to improve yourself, to really kind of overcome your weaknesses, to overcome your things that connect you to the animal side. While a lot of the teachings with Neptune in Pisces, there were a lot of misleading things, because Neptune in Pisces is not, the energy is not, that did not allow us to be discriminating, to discriminate the truth from the untruth. Anything that came, aliens created us, disclosures, channelings of all type of sorts. We took it, we took it. Tartaria, look, all those things, like the flat earth. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't been able to discriminate. Is it flat? Is it round? Maybe. I'm doubting everything. Now at the end of Neptune in Pisces, we're doubting everything. We're doubting, because Pisces is not a sign that you're certain. It just brings more confusion. Do I trust the medical system? No. Do I trust institutions? No. Do I trust the history that we have till now? Was there a reset, 200 years ago, and we were given totally wrong history? I don't know. I'm doubting everything now after Neptune in Pisces. But you see, it introduced really out there theories and beliefs and myths and that were totally unconventional. This is very Pisces, out there, unfamiliar, that totally put first mystical excitement and mystery, but also confusion. We also saw the boom of fake, information being disseminated. This is the low vibration of Pisces. Even in the spiritual realms, Pisces is again non-discriminatory. And a lot of the lower entities, they work through mediums. But they're lower astrals. Lower astrals will give you some information, but they don't know more than you. They're even lower than us. They're just not incarnate. And a lot of them work through mediums and channels. They give you some true information, but they hook you in. Life is about do as you will, enjoy yourself. It's all love and light. Yes, it's all love and light, but here on earth, it's not all love and light. And it's all this, kumbaya. And that can be very detrimental. So yeah, it's okay. Keep drinking if you're okay. Keep cheating. It's love after love. Love is love for everyone. And such kind of very tolerant. And yet Pisces is the most tolerant sign. That's good. It's good to be tolerant. but not, to not discriminate what can be dangerous for you, what can drag you further down into illusions, into self-destructions, into, that's the dangerous side. And we saw that with a lot of fake gurus and teachers. I might be part of this movement as well. I rose to fame during Neptune in Pisces. I'm sorry if I've misled you, because I've been misled by teachings as well, by information that I've heard, by, I was trying to sift through it. So it's been very, very mystical, spiritual. We become aware of the existence of other realities, of divine hierarchies, of mysteries, of aliens. But also, it's like, who am I? You're totally lost. You don't trust your history. You don't trust your institutions that you've trusted till now. That's what Neptune in Pisces prepared the soil, kind of melted us all into goo. So everyone's confused, everyone has their theories. We were made by aliens, we were made by AI that was destroyed later on, and such kind of crazy theories I've heard. And there was a reset every 200 years, maybe there was, and so on. But a lot of conspiracies were revealed with Neptune and Pisces as well, and a lot of them true as well, because Neptune and Pisces are secrets that became accessible to the massive consciousness. Neptune is a collective planet that reaches, when it passes through a sign, like in Pisces, it made all kind of secrets and conspiracies become accessible to the collective consciousness, just like we saw Big Pharma. But now it's also taken to the extreme that people don't believe anything from Big Pharma or modern medicine. They've like, oh, if I get a cold, or like, even if unless you cut your leg, I'm not gonna go there. So that's also takes it to an extreme, because modern medicine has incredible achievements as well. I've given birth twice, and if it wasn't for the doctors, I might have lost my life one time. But yeah, we can't, Neptune in Pisces, at the end of it, we see like we're very not trusting anything, but we're fertile ground for the seeds that Neptune in Aries, because Neptune in Pisces kind of decomposed our old beliefs, identities, what we believed is reality, decompose it. This is Pisces, to dissolve, to wash away gradually over 14, 15 years, to dissolve. That's a word for Pisces and Neptune now. But it became a very fertile ground for the new seeds that will be planted, a lot of them divine dispensation during Neptune in Aries over the next 14 years, especially powerful in 2026 when Neptune joins Saturn at the 0 degrees of Aries. But it will take 14 years truly to to kind of give a shape to those new identities, to those new rules of civilization, to those new consciousness perception of reality. Because your belief systems, which is connected to Neptune and Pisces, when it changes, your whole reality changes. So now a lot of us with Neptune leaving Pisces might be very confused, might feel weakened, might feel, because that's weakening energy. We have to decompose, a lot of aspects of ourselves, of our civilization, of our reality, what we trust in, with the COVID thing and the conspiracies that came out of it that turned out to be true. And we don't know where to turn to and what to believe, because even there is this grand conspiracy, and a lot of people turn to God after COVID when they say, if there is such evil that is willing to kill people, and it's in our higher levels of ruling for some nefarious purpose, this is not human. This is extra human forces. Some started saying maybe it's aliens involved in those technologies. So plans, others say it's demonic, that the rulers are connected to Satan, to demons that they want to cull humanity and so on. And people start saying, well, if there is demons and such that are beyond human evil, which is beyond normal psychopathy type, then it must be also the positive forces, the positive creative forces. That's why during Neptune in Pisces, so many people turn to spirituality, to demonology, angelology, teachings like the teachings of Rudolf Steiner, Blavatsky. They were reborn of modern Western theosophy and modern Western spirituality. It's incredible how many people are aware of those things now. But truly the new beginnings in spiritual vision comes with Neptune in Aries. Let me just look at my notes. I usually try to do it all by heart. Yeah. And just like the last time Neptune was in Aries, we had theosophy appear, spiritism was at its height, new mystical, metaphysical Christianity appeared for the first time, not just the traditional Christianity. Modern occultism was born. So it was in the Hindu spiritual renaissance and new religious movements. I don't know when Mormonism was formed. Maybe I should check, but now we'll have the same over the next 14 years. I don't know in what direction it will take, but there is more of a traditional taste to it because Neptune enters Aries together with Saturn. Saturn is ancient planet, the ancient knowledge or traditional concepts and beliefs. And they're not going to be so self-gratifying and gone with the fairies, and you can do whatever you want as long as you don't harm others. What you do to yourself, there is consequences spiritually to you, to your children, to your next incarnations, how you live now. It's not about just sitting and radiating love and light or not doing anything. This is the passive Neptune and Pisces teachings. They were necessary till now, but now it's Neptune in Aries when it comes. It's about action. It's about defining on which side you are. Aries is taking a very certain position and going in that direction, redefining yourself. Am I with the good forces? Am I with the negative forces? Who am I? How do I want to, what is the highest ideal of myself? And working towards it, not just sitting. Neptune, Aries is the most active sign. So you need to birth this new identity will be born in us, but at the same time with the impetus to act towards new ideals, because it's Neptune, it's high ideals, this higher version 2.0 of ourselves. Not just sit and spiritual practices, take them up strong. What are spiritual practices? And Saturn is about, Saturn with Neptune in Aries. Saturn is like you need to take practical steps. And a lot of those practical steps is about denying yourself certain immediate pleasures and gratifications. Saturn is denial. It's about the discipline. Spiritual practices, waking up early is a spiritual practice. Exercising and moving daily is a spiritual practice. Being in the sun, connecting with the sun is a spiritual practice. Taking care of your body is a spiritual practice. It's not just sitting and meditating. Spiritual practices are first cleansing, purifying your body, taking care of it. The body is your temple. The Aries is the physical body. Aries is the first sign, the birth of the baby, the physical body. And Saturn there says, with Neptune starting a new 35-year cycle, you need a new higher ideal will be born in you, but you can't just visualize yourself into it. Yes, you have to visualize it, Neptune. You have to first be able to imagine what it is. But you need to take action, Aries, and you need to do it with a lot of self-negation, self-control, self-discipline, Saturn. So it's not an easy task, but it's an incredible task. And that's why Rudolf Steiner said 100 years ago, he said in 100 years from now, exactly around now, there will be a powerful spiritual revival, a spiritual rebirth, like spiritual awakenings that will start happening. And he says, like, gradually, she says first over the 20th century, it will be gradual. Here and there, 1 in 10,000 people will experience, what's called spiritual awakening. And we heard a lot of those stories. And he says, like, they'll see Jesus, the etheric Jesus, because Jesus is in the ether now. He was on the earth 2,000 years ago. Currently, he went to the next level, closest to earth in the ether. In a few thousand years, it will be to the astral. That's when we'll have to develop astral clairvoyance to connect with the Christ principle. But now Christ energy and the Christed being, which raises, that's the only energy that can raise human consciousness. In each different cultures is known in different ways. In the Vedic culture is known as Vishvakarman, that being of the Christ. In the East, in the tradition of Egypt, the ancient Egyptians, they know it as Osiris. So there is a name for the Christ energy and the Christ being in every religion. In New Age, that's one of the big things I don't like about New Age, which appeared with Neptune in Pisces 150 years ago with Spiritism, was that they removed Christ from the equation. They said, oh, all roads lead to Rome. But there was Christ said, okay, only through me. You don't have to call it Christ. You don't have to call this being Christ, but only by being able to experience the etheric Christ, and that's a mystical experience. That's your etheric vision opening. Can you proceed spiritually ahead? And there's special exercises that were given to us during the Neptune in Aries last time, with the start of theosophy, anthroposophy, and so on, the Western occult tradition, as it's called, how to awaken the etheric vision. And they're very practical steps, like meditative practices, physical and even physical practices, ways to eat, ways of acting, and raising the morality. You cannot, the most important in raising the morality of a person, to be truthful, to do good actions. That's what Neptune in Aries will be. Do good actions, help a neighbor, whatever, the smallest thing. And that's when, even without special exercises, you can open your etheric vision. And then maybe in a few thousand years, we'll be able to open our astral vision. Some people can already do it. But so coming back, Steiner said, the creator of one of the highest initiates of Western astrology, he said that etheric vision of humans will start opening up much more faster in 100 years from now. And that corresponds with Neptune in Aries, this new spiritual revival. And I'm not talking just sitting in a church. You don't have to be in a church. You don't have to be Christian. If you build up the moral qualities, you might be Muslim, you might be Hindu, you might be living in the Amazon. If you build up the spiritual moral qualities, because etheric vision is open only through certain moral virtues. And if your moral virtues are even higher, you can even open the astral vision, which is even higher above. But first it starts with seeing auras or witnessing, having a sacred experience of universal love. This is the Christed being. And a lot of people say, I know this was Christ. Others say, I know this was my creator, our creator. I was one with it. I was driving down the road, many stories you'd hear. And suddenly I felt one with everything, this unconditional love, this feeling that everything is perfect and right. I was enveloped in the love of the creator, and I knew him dearly and personally. He knew every second of me, every little nook and cranny of me, and he loved me like no one has loved me. Or she, it doesn't, it's a being. This is experiences people have had in the last 100 years and throughout history. And the Christians would say, Christ was there. Some even see the Christed being. Christ will appear to you in the shape, you'd recognize him, her, because it's not like Christ energy is more feminine actually, but was on earth in male form. Anyway, and this is the experience of etheric the spiritual awakening, the etheric awakening of the etheric vision. Then you start seeing auras and feeling the feelings of others and so on. So Steiner said it's coming like a wave from the 21st century to, it will start like one after another. People, maybe not one in 10,000, one in 1,000, one in 100. And, if you've primed up your soul, you purified the lower impulses. That's what building morality is. Purifying, say you've had a porn addiction, you've overcame it. Say you used to steal, you've overcome that. You used to tell lies, you consciously try to do it. You used to cheat, you stopped cheating, you resisted those. You used to drink, you used to smoke. This is spiritual exercises. This is real spiritual work. It's not sitting under the body tree and meditating only. If you're still doing those other things, no amount of meditation will open your spiritual vision. And if it does, because there are exercises and special breathing that does that, you connect to the lower etheric and astral beings. And that's when wrong channelings come. That's when lower entities channel through you and they tell you some truth, and they tell you, and they put in there something very harmful that can, if you believe it, it can damage you, drag it down. We talked about that, Neptune in Pisces. And I personally, that's why I said, like, I never want my spiritual abilities to open up yet. Because I love to drink, I love to smoke, and gradually over 25 years, I wean myself off. It was, spiritual work takes long time. And you don't call it spiritual work, you tell it maturation or whatever, or but it taken me a long time to get there. Then when you're ready morally, and and now all the people that are ready, there'll be mass awakening spiritual with Neptune in Aries. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I go on a tangent, but I want you to understand this. And it will be beautiful and scary for some, especially if you're not prepared with the cosmology and the right belief system. Again, we can be taken for a ride sometimes, but if you morally develop, you always have to test whatever the information comes from the entities that you hear or see, the experiences, because Luciferic beings can also give us this sense of exaltation, this sense of union, and everything is, but they are not from the right evolutionary path for humanity. So you can study on that in Anthroposophy, the Western occult, it's the esoteric tradition of Rudolf Steiner, the highest initiate continuation of the Rosicrucianism and the earlier Essenes and Bogomils, Cathars. Now it's being given in a scientific way to us. That started again with Neptune in Aries 140, 50 years ago when we had it. Was it that? I'm not calculating correctly, but something like that in the 1870s that started this. So again, this powerful impulse will be given with even more precise instructions and teachers and leaders and high initiates that will start and assume their work now with Neptune in Aries to give the new path of direction. What anthroposophy, what spiritism, what Western occultism, and the new revival of the and renaissance of the Eastern philosophies and belief systems brought over the last 160 years after Neptune in Aries was incredible what it did with consciousness. It gave the rise of New Age, of course, but there's a lot of deception in New Age. It gave the rise of pretty much all the important historical developments. And it gave the rise of all the important events like Neptune in Aries last time, ideologies, wars for higher ideologies, Neptune high ideologies, Aries war. It was the Civil War in America. People fought to release, so there is no slavery. So this again, those high ideals will be birthed in people, in the races, in the individuals as well, and they'll be willing to fight for that. But are we writing? So there was the end of the abolishment of slavery. New moral identity was born after during the American Civil War and after that. Of human freedom, of national identity, and its slavery, It reforged the United States into a new nation. There will be a chance again for the United States. I hope it doesn't go again through civil war like it was with Neptune in Aries the last time, but there will be some war for ideology or some battle for ideology. And but it's not just going to be just a war, it will be a spiritual and ideological reckoning. You see how America is split in two right now, the States and all over the world. Immigrants, people that support immigrants versus people that don't, people that want some of the old traditional things versus people with And Neptune in Pisces, let's get back to it. Neptune in Pisces made us the highest octave of Pisces, and Neptune is tolerance, acceptance of others different than us. And we've made huge strides in that direction over the last 14 years. We stopped we stopped judging and shaming people with different sexual preferences. We accepted people that are that's why I always keep saying, I have not seen, in my 7 years of living in the States, I did not see racism until recently, until very in the last couple of years. And we accepted people of different colors. We accepted in Europe so many immigrants from so many cultures. This is Neptune and Pisces, no boundaries. We're all one. In America, they accepted millions and millions of new immigrants all over the world. The Western cultures accepted immigrants. There was this merging. People from different beliefs, religious classes. We kind of almost abolished this religious, till now Neptune in Aries comes again. People are getting more intolerant, Neptune in Aries, because we had the last year, 2025, Neptune in Aries, and this intolerance rises because people want more specified identities. But we saw a lot of, with Neptune in Pisces, embracing the things that are different than us. But was it too much tolerance? Because sometimes some cultures are truly incompatible. That's why the angels and us are not mixed up, living in the same reality. We don't see them, they don't see us. That's why if you don't build the right moral, spiritual qualities, you are not allowed in the higher realities. You are not allowed in the difference between the first heaven, the second heaven. These are just different vibrations, different, first heaven, second heaven, higher vibrations. They're all in the same place. But even the people that die and come back, they say, well, not all the dead people can mix up. Like some would say, my mom was in a different realm because she's way more religious and spiritual when she was on earth. So she would come to see me, but I could not go there. So the same, did we take it too much to an extreme that you can mix people that maybe live like we used to live 500 years ago with such belief systems and such rules about women and such ways of treating women and children with basically women and children having no human value or freedoms? Can we allow to such people that are with such mentality to live here without integrating? Either they need to build a new identity for themselves that's aligned to the beliefs of the place they live in, or they have to be out because you mix two different vibrations totally, and you say, oh, you're racist, Lada, well, there is difference, there is difference. I've seen a difference even from someone that lives in a village to someone that lives in a city. That I've lived as a child between a city and a village. The consciousness of people that were raised in agricultural Bulgarian villages 30 years ago with those that were in cities was huge, let alone different language, religion, belief system, how you treat animals, how you treat women and children, your beliefs about everything. Well, did we take Neptune and Pisces too far? Now Neptune in Aries with conjunct Saturn. Saturn is the corrective planet. Will correct that. The danger is that it creates racism in the process, that it creates too much separation and even a racial war or religion-based war. That's the danger of it, and I pray to God it doesn't happen. For now, this year, 2026, 2027, Neptune and Uranus and Pluto ascending sextiles to Neptune and Saturn in Aries. So I don't think there will be such wars, but you saw already from the moment Neptune entered Aries with Saturn there in 2025, ICE groups, started shipping out thousands of people. Europe, the same is happening. And in the next 14 years, actually, the next 35 years, Saturn conjunct Neptune, this will continue because they start a new cycle where you either integrate into the culture, because Neptune and Pisces rules what? Foreigners, people with different cultural beliefs. You either integrate to it or you or you are removed because there is this tension. But of course, Neptune in Pisces gave us also what we deserve, karma. Especially Western cultures, like I know it's modern now to be down on the white man and Western cultures, but let's be honest, we were colonizers, not the Eastern Europeans, you on the West. It's not you, but your ancestors at least. And Western cultures was nation of pirates, colonizers. They would go own India, own the whole of Africa. Yes, they would introduce a lot of innovations there and blossoming, but they'll try to impose their Western ways on those people and to subjugate them. And that happened for a couple of 100 years before that. And now Neptune and they lost, they lost their empires. But with Neptune in Pisces, because the colonization was still happening since the last time of Neptune in Pisces, the exploitation of the weaker by the stronger, especially, because Western civilizations had all the technological might. In the last 150 years, it was still happening. So Neptune in Pisces, the end of the cycle of Neptune, basically we had to pay the Western nations that kind of colonized and took the resources of those poor countries of foreigners, Neptune in Pisces paying back the karma, the cycle. So what happened? We created wars for them and we took their resources, like what we did in Libya, in Syria, we destroyed those nations. They were running themselves. And no, you cannot run yourself. We'll change your leaders. The dictators. They had free educational system. They had, like Libya especially. We destroyed it with the color revolution. What happened? They came in hordes towards Europe, Morocco, all those northern. But we've been doing that for 100 years and more, hundreds of years. So every time we paid back, and that was the immigration waves that happened. And of course, it's allowed to happen by politicians or whatever because of higher powers that say either it's like and I said it happened during Neptune in Pisces, where we're more allowing rules were given, laws were given for that. Compassion, the higher vibration of Neptune was compassion. That's how the general population was made to accept this wave of immigrants of very different cultures, because they say, well, there is wars there is famine, we're helping them. So they worked on our compassion, but the lower forces, the negative forces, always work with whatever astrological influences are. So they said, well, that's how we'll destroy, certain civilizations, and by allowing, because as I said, if it's too much, it's too much of a clash. So now, if there is a resolution, it will come with Neptune in Aries, like a civil war between different factions, people that are incompatible with the culture, people that are for the old ways of the culture, or there will be certain ways and strict rules. Saturn, also part of the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries, strict rules and laws that have to be taken. You either obey them, you go through the legal way with strict restrictions or with strict ways of kind of, yes, you can still have your religion, whatever, but you have to respect our religion and you cannot do like your laws that are incompatible with our laws. So this will be for 35 years, guys. This whole having to discriminate more and having to put the structures that two completely different and 3 or 4, 5, 10 different civilizations have to live together, especially in the Western world. But we Westerners had to pay for what the destruction that exploitation that we paid as well. But now is the beginning of the new system and the new civilization, where we have to learn to live together, or a lot will go back. If their vibration is not compatible with the new laws and rules of those Western civilizations, they would have to go back by force or willingly, because it's just, And of course, the sign of Aries rules the Aries, the Aryan races, the Western world, where the biggest changes will be happening, the biggest new world structure revisioning of how things are. Um, as I said, there will be during Pisces, Neptune in Pisces as well. Yes, it brought us tolerance, acceptance, but you see the pushback now in the other direction, going back to trad wives, uh, going back, which is great. I mean, if you want, but hating people from other religions, hating people, which Neptune is Saturn and Neptune started appearing when Saturn is resentment, so discrimination, and like there needs to be some separation, as I said, of certain rules. And that's what Saturn conjunct Neptune in Aries will do. Now, that was a very painful topic. Sorry that I put so much attention into it because I've been thinking a lot about it. But it is what it is. It had to be said. I'm neither for the immigrants, neither for the people that want to keep their national identities. I've been trying to understand it from spiritual perspective from both sides, and I see that both sides are correct to some extent, and both sides are also incorrect. And yeah, so things will be changing around that, and all this deciding who stays, who leaves. Uh, as I said, there was during Neptune in Pisces, Neptune in Aries, sorry, new national identities like Italy, Germany. The same will happen here. I'm not talking about nationalism. That's the negative side of Neptune in Aries, nationalism, which is very nationalism, according to Rudolf Steiner, that it's a big step back on the evolutionary step. He said nationalism was a good thing 500 to 300 years ago, whatever. Now it's in the wrong step. We saw what happened with nationalism in the 40s, 30s, 40s of the last century. But new national identities that will have to integrate other races and other beliefs and cultures as well. And also, I believe like because Neptune is about unification and creating, and Saturn is about creating like groups. So there'll be probably the creation of the American group, the South American group of nations unifying over the next 14 years over kind of some political, cultural, Canada, America, South America's, Europe, like we have, but it's not going to be the European Union. It will fall apart and something else will come at its place. You'll see that. And it will be some other identity of the European countries, grouping together about a new identity, not the old European Union identity. And the Eastern European countries, they can do their own bloc again, but not like during communism. Through beliefs, through mutual beneficial things that form so new national identities. There was technological Neptune in Pisces. Let's go back again. I keep comparing the two periods. We saw the rise of addictions. Fentanyl took over the world. Wow. Because what is Pisces? Is to lose reality, to escape from reality. Neptune enhanced it. So that's the negative side of Neptune in Pisces. We saw that so much escapism from reality. We saw people just living on playing computer games and VR day in and out. This is such an addiction. We saw the rise of social media addictions. We saw the rise of addiction connected to hard drugs. That's what we became very conscious and aware of into the consciousness of humanity over the last, from 2012. That's when they started talking everywhere about the opioid addictions, about it's everywhere. It's even around the world. It's about the addictions to social media. Wow, Neptune in Pisces, what can I say? Neptune in Aries, and also addiction to living on social benefits. That can also be an addiction because you're feeding other addictions. And because Neptune in Pisces was tolerant and the governments kept giving more and more, especially in America, because I don't know other governments, they kept giving more benefits. You're an addict and you say you're disabled, so keep getting benefits. But some people truly need benefits. Like someone's husband dies, she has 3 kids. Of course, this woman needs benefits, but someone who is addicted to alcohol or just plays computer games at home but can go to work. There was millions of those people that during Neptune in Pisces were tolerated or were helped. But Neptune in Pisces developed in us the compassion for those in need, developed a lot of social systems. But you see, Neptune went into Aries for just 6 months in 2025. What happened immediately in the USA? They stopped those social, they started looking for, what's that called? Like all those social benefits that were given, whether to hospital fraud. Neptune in Pisces is fraud. Lots of fraud, but also helping truly people in need. But some, as always, the low vibration of Neptune took advantage of the system, because Neptune can pretend to be a victim, live like a victim all their life, live on social benefits. Some of you might hate me when you're watching me that, but if you really need it, yes, you deserve it. And that's what Neptune in Pisces said. Okay, we see you, we understand you, we have compassion for you. We see you that you need help. We see that you're an addict, you need help. It brought a lot of awareness about addiction and victimhood, but also we saw you're immigrant, you need help here. You're a refugee from a war, you need help. Here is houses, whatever, everything. And now Neptune in Aries says, no, now you have to deserve your compassion. Aries is a military sign. Aries is a sign that says, you work, or it's a harsh sign. Neptune is all embracing motherly. Pisces, sorry. So we're like, okay, we'll cuddle all, we'll help all. And now you see with Neptune in Aries, just for 5 months in 2025, so many of those programs was switched off. So many of those programs for care for immigrants or for addicts or for the switch now is going to be a merit system because Neptune is meeting in Aries with Saturn. Saturn is, let's correct all the mistakes, all those waste of fraud. And now everyone that is able-bodied person that can prove, that cannot prove, that can work, let them go to work or let them, and the same will be with addicts. It won't be anymore, here is money for your addiction or whatever. And there was so much fraud as well. For each person who was homeless during Neptune in Pisces, the government would spend something like 100 and how many thousand per year. And the homeless people said, well, we didn't receive anything from this money. How did the government spend on that? Maybe eat some, forgive me if I'm ignorant. I don't know everything. Forgive me, but I realized during Neptune in Pisces how many people were truly in need. They were, but there was so many that were also abusing the system. That's what I'm feeling, at least, and seeing. So now Neptune in Aries says, Aries is a boot camp sign. You get up, and with Saturn, harsh, you really need to deserve it or you're not getting help. Or the same will be for addicts. It will be like a kick in the butt for addicts. Maybe they'll do something that is actively trying to help the addict rather than, you know, maybe truly like a boot camp, maybe truly like they would ask them to do community work or to get involved in something. So there will be new programs that are very active instead of passively helping and making the victim perpetuate victimhood, which is what Pisces is, Neptune in Pisces. Because if you keep enabling, Neptune in Pisces is very enabling on the low side. It's good it was compassionate. We were compassionate, giving to others. And we saw that addictions, it's truly a disease or worse than a disease. You can't help yourself get. It's like pulling yourself out by the head. You need help. But now it's like, let's do something proactive about it. About those that are unemployed, let's develop programs for them, for those that are in addiction, for those that are in sickness, perpetuating crisis sickness. There will be amazing things over the next 35 years. Why am I talking 35 years? Because the Saturn-Neptune cycle that starts is 35 years, begins in Aries. Very proactive tackling of all those Neptunian people. Neptunians, the ones that cannot actively participate because they're either too young, too old, too sick, too addicted, refugee, unemployed, helpless in some way. So there'll be active programs that get them involved. Whew. Okay. So that was Neptune in Pisces. You saw the addictions, you saw the tolerance that we talked about, the foreigners, the merging spirituality with all the positives and negatives. Yes, makes us aware of more spiritual things. Yes, a lot of lower vibrational spiritual teachings of, yes, tolerance and accepting those different to us, but at the same time, when do you say no? When do you learn how to integrate together as well? And of course, for the sicknesses and so on, there will be also in hospitals big change, because Neptune is hospitals in Aries, new beginnings in the whole social system. Neptune is all the social system, pensions. Neptune is everything that is given to those in need, pensions, whether it's like government help and support to those in need and so on. Such programs. What is that? Social programs. There'll be like a reset of the social security programs as well, because there's no money in it anyway. So it will have to work in some other way that Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries will bring, and more proactive, more harsher way. No more nannying, gentleness. You do this and you get help. If you don't do it, you're on your own. And that there's nothing that makes someone mobilize themselves more than being on their own most times. But Aries is about mobilizing yourself, so efforts, and naturally, even people that are in chronic victimhood state, that's like, oh, I was born in a poor family, or I have a chronic disease. I feel very sorry for such people, because that's something real, that's something. But there'll be some mobilization of such people as well, that are constantly in a victim state, whether self-victimizing or victimized by society because of their race, because they would mobilize themselves to do something individually for themselves. So what is Aries? Saturn in Aries with Neptune. Getting a new ideal that you can take personal responsibility for your life and self without having to rely always on external sources. God is inside every one of us. We can overcome our previous weaknesses. Neptune in Pisces allowed us maybe to indulge too long in our previous weaknesses, because we were pampered, we were forgiven, we were. Now it's not going to be like that. On a personal level as well. All right, let's go to back. Neptune in Aries, 100 and from the 1860s, 1870s. There was incredible technological revolutions. New realities are born. So there was the Transcontinental Railroad that was created and completed in 1869, I think. And what did it do? It kind of connected the whole of the states. The was physically unified. So again, there is the Neptunian unifying thing. Because why is technology? We're talking with Neptune in Aries. Because Aries is factories, manufacturing, new inventions. Aries is the first sign of the mind. It rules the brain. Usually some of the best inventors have something strong in Aries always. So engineers, inventors, technology. And so Aries is very heavy industry sign. There will be a strong emphasis on heavy industries. Maybe there will be more centered now, like in the last industrial revolution, which truly started with Neptune in Aries. Now there will be more centered around data centers and AI and something like that. But there will be a new industrial complex, military industrial complex activation. As we can see, Europe is arming up against Russia. There will be the factories of weapons will be working strongly with Neptune in Aries, especially ideologically, people will be propagandized in that direction. Neptune is ideology. But as we said, United States, the transcontinental railroad was complete, and the modern industrial world truly began, and the United States was physically unified. So time and space collapsed basically. So there will be something about transportation again that happens in the next 14 years with Neptune in Aries that will connect maybe to new faster railroads or new different mode of movement that connects Europe with the States or Europe, or the States with Asia over 30 minutes or something like that. This will come just like it happened. History repeats, but in bigger circles. So the world will become even smaller. The world will, time and space will collapse again. And the world will become more unified through faster transport. Aries is fast movement. Neptune is like evaporates the distances. Also, in the last time Neptune was in Aries was the birth of global communication. That what truly started the new civilization we lived in. The first successful transatlantic telegraph cable. The first, like, you could. So what happened? Instant communication between continents. Humanity becomes like instantly connected neurologically for the first time. Again, unification through inventions. So that's the beginning of the first global mind. And now it comes to the next level. Neptune is again in Aries for the next 14 years. I don't know how it will be further, but again, the world, either through transportation or communication instantly, I don't know, maybe teleportation. I'll be so brave to say, I don't think they would allow us yet to do it because every new technology is dispensed from, those Neptunian realms around us, invisible ones. But there might be something about the way you communicate with someone there presently in front of you, like 3D, much more powerful personal communications. So yeah, the second industrial revolution begins. Now begins the fourth one. The steel, the electricity, mass production. It's truly the birth of new civilization that Neptune in Aries does. So the birth of new spiritual beliefs we talked about, with true leaders. We already had very leading minds like Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, Dr. Joe Dispenza during Neptune in Pisces that became very famous. For the first time, someone is trying to merge science with spirituality. Those names scientifically proving how, spirituality, coherence between heart and mind, your state of consciousness affects you. And now with Aries, Neptune in Aries, there'll be actual in the next 14 years and even 35, because Neptune, Saturn conjunct in Aries, where this will become on a massive scale. They'll probably start teaching it, even at schools, at offices, those things, because it's put into action in Aries, Neptune in Aries. It will become part of our lived in experience. We'll start embodying that. Darwin's also published his ideas of origins of species during the last Neptune in Aries, together with the appearance of Madame Blavatsky and names like Rudolf Steiner that started the Western esoteric tradition, appeared the first most scientific, and suddenly religious worldviews were shaken, that we come from monkeys, that there is evolution. Science becomes a new belief systems for some, while for others more spiritual minded 150 years ago was the new revised Christianity, like spiritual Christianity, or as we call it, anthroposophy, theosophy, comes. Now, with Neptune in Pisces and Neptune in Aries, we'll see the merging of spirituality and science. Because Aries is very scientific, but Neptune is very spiritual. So that's very interesting. And that was also the birth of modern psychology the last time Neptune was in Aries. Now there will be huge advancement in modern psychology. Why? Because Pisces is the psyche, the subconscious. And they started exploring. Aries is the sign of the explorer, the pioneer. They started exploring the vast terrains of the subconscious. We call them now psychologists. The first one that started psychologists was William James, and because of him, Jung and Freud, and depths of psychology and consciousness research. Psychology is between spirituality and science, is the connecting venue. It's leaning more towards science, but it derives from mysticism. Mysticism and psychology overlap heavily. And it started 150 years ago. Now there will be huge evolution over the next 14 to 35 years because of the Saturn Neptune cycle starting. And it will become even more scientific and more spiritual at the same time. It will acknowledge even deeper reality. So I see a huge wave of spiritual, of psychological revival. Everyone will become, and when Pisces was in Neptune, Neptune was in Pisces. We saw a lot of deepening of psychology, but now will be but of the old methods of psychology. Now will be the birth of new, there will be dispensations of new psychological and other spiritual methods of integration and healing. What is being mentally unhealthy? We saw also with Pisces and Neptune a lot of mental health issues in the last 14 years. They rise because Neptune enhances Pisces double, and Pisces is like reality. Who am I? What it is? Oh, I'm seeing stuff, or I'm breaking down, I'm depressed, I don't find meaning in life because my old identity is dissolving, nothing makes sense. My old reality is dissolving. I feel victim, helpless. Mental health exploded with Neptune in Pisces. Now, Neptune in Aries in the next 14 years, starting conjunction with Saturn, take a grip on your mental health. There will be not only organizations and stuff, but there will be actively helping people with mental health and people actively with mental health problems, trying to taking responsibilities for themselves. And with the dispensation of so many new psychological methods, that will be faster rather than 20 years talk therapy. They'll be faster. As I said, it corresponds with spiritual awakening massively. That's integrated consciousness. Spiritual awakening is integrated consciousness. And mental health is the opposite, it's unintegrated consciousness. So there'll be massive, massive changes there, massive developments in integrating ruptured consciousness, in integrating disintegrated selves of aspects of ourselves. So yeah, psychology prepare for huge and mental health fields, for new revival, new teachers coming there. Some will be again misleading, of course, but others will be incredibly, incredibly divinely inspired. And let me tell you something. This is Rudolf Steiner tells us higher beings, the ones that are above us, angels, archangels, archives, we're not talking Arcturians and Lemurians and whatever. These are aliens or whatever, but they probably, maybe there's some kind of a mixture there, but they don't usually do mediums. Low astral beings that are a little bit above or below our evolutionary level, maybe kind of aliens, really what we call them, they connect through mediumship. The higher beings, they're not gonna, like Archangel Michael is not gonna come and dictate in your ear. They don't connect like that. They connect in very different ways. They connect through inspirations, through people that have high enough vibration. They just know in them that it's kind of like intuitive guidance, because the new clairvoyance that has to come for humanity is not kind of atavistic mediumship where you're just being told what to do and what is right and wrong. No, it's born within. So it's the birth of those new powerful spiritual impulses in you. You become like Aries independent. You become not someone dictating you what to do, what's right, but you knowing from within what is right, what is wrong, what is real, what is not. This is Aries, independent, And Steiner, Rudolf Steiner tells us the new clairvoyance will not be atavistic. It will not be like you receive spontaneous things. You don't know when to switch off those visions, when they can come in. Very conscious. Like I know just one person who had this clairvoyance, Sevyukova. She could look into every era, time, previous incarnation, story, atom, dissect, taste it, see it consciously. This is conscious clairvoyance where you can do it. So higher beings work through inspiring, through intuition, through leading how, like a person, a politician, by a person, sometimes through dreams as well, but a person kind of knowing something, like a scientist can develop something because they focused on it long enough and they receive this inspiration, but not someone telling them like some being and hearing a voice and write this formula 2.6, No, no, no. You infuse your soul in something you want to do. Is it music? Is it science? Is it you put so much effort in it, personal effort, Neptune in Aries. And then the higher entities, that are the proper evolutionary entities, you've opened the channel, and then it's like you've invented it. You've come up with that, but it's again always dispensation from there. So the right path of spiritual development is not trying to channel, trying to dead spirits connect. Spiritism was, yes, it was the beginning, but all spiritual teachers that were highly evolved after that, like Bain Saduna, Rudolf Steiner, they said, don't do spiritism. You connect mostly to lower beings that say, oh, I was Napoleon. They says they like to have fun with us. They're bored. they take human energy through that. You need to yourself know. So you say, I want to be now on Melmac or I want to be in Neptune's star Europe, or I want to be on Neptune now. I want to observe it. You can go there on your own. I want to see what happened on the war in 1943 on this day at this time with this person. And that's you yourself directing your psychic abilities, your spiritual abilities, your Aries is especially about your mind, your thought. So that's how and always, like, when you get an idea or inspiration, always ask higher power, the Christ consciousness, more evolved beings, to confirm for you that it comes from a positive high source. But that's the direction of spirituality that's going, rather than gurus telling you what to do or books. But I said, because it's with Saturn, there'll be some ancient knowledge that's being reborn and packaged in a new form. And all of us carry ancient knowledge. Saturn is ancient, whether it's from Atlantis, from previous times. And now it will be repackaged for the time that is relevant for us, for the current times. So revival of ancient knowledge, but in new form. Not knowledge, invisible, mystical, spiritual ideas. Now, the next thing that Neptune rules is music and art. I'm excited. Neptune starts a new cycle of 140 years, 150 years, something like that, when it moves into Aries. Finally, new music, Finally, and it will again has, because it's conjunct with Saturn. Saturn rules rock, maybe some of the more rocky parts of it, rock and roll. Maybe it will have more of the impact and influences of ancient music that's vibrational and healing as well. Maybe ancient musicians from Atlantis or whatever can bring up some high vibrational music. That for me, it's the rebirth, and I highly hope of music that truly heals, high vibrational and so on, rather than the one that pulls you down, that talks about sex only, that has those only beats that make you horny, or instead of raising the vibration up for healing and so on. What happened 140 of last time Neptune was in Aries was the birth of modern science fiction, a new genre in literature. Neptune is everything with art, literature, music, writing. Jules Verne published his books during Neptune in Aries. The journey to the center of the earth, to 20,000 leagues under the sea, from the earth to the moon. And human imagination turned towards space, technology, future worlds. Till then, there was nothing about science fiction, What new genre in literature will appear? For me, I can tell you what I hope for. Because now spiritual books are about, they're kind of like manuals, well, about the spiritual realities, about the ascended, I hope, fiction about the ascended masters, or about ancient knowledge and stuff like that. Because we explored a lot of the alien stuff already. What about the true creators of the 10 hierarchies about human beings and our relationship? But I don't know what it is. Something will come. New genre in literature, new genre, new style in music, in painting as well. Last time Impressionism was born in the 1870s, and reality became subjective. And that's when perception replaced realism. We're going to a next level art as well, new wave. Maybe not from now, this moment, but after that. Human rights and ideals, new movement for human rights. That's when the females, the feminism, not feminism. First, the abolition of slavery happened, Neptune in Aries, then the birth of modern feminism. And the women's suffragist movement began, where the woman to become equal to man in rights. So the birth of human rights ideals, again, there will be groups, there will be movements, very proactive. You see, I hope they don't glue themselves to the asphalt, but they'll be very, very outspoken, very active in their whatever their ideals fight for and believe in, whether they fight, some might fight for immigrants, some might fight for the rights of the local people, some might fight, it would be a bit of a mess. We don't know where it's going to come from. Oh, the rights of children. I don't know, but it is coming. Right, and Aries is a male sign as well. So a new definition of the male role and gender. Aries rules sexes, sex overall, female, male. So new identities around sex. But because Neptune starts this cycle with Saturn, like the last time women suddenly started wanting to be equal, to own property, to have rights, to vote, slaves to have human rights. Now the two sexes will have to redefine itself. I don't think by adding another 100 sexes possibly, but the roles will be the new identities about the roles will have to be redefined with a tinge of more traditional, because Saturn is also there, with a tinge of the right responsibilities for each gender. Because after all, yes, we have equal rights. We're all equally in the eyes of God, because souls don't have gender, but male, female are more attuned to certain roles, you know. Women are naturally more nurturing, not in the case with me and my husband, but still. So we need to redefine the strength of men is usually bigger physically. And we need to really start feeling comfortable about the two sexes now and redefine them in the culturally appropriate way. Now, Neptune in Aries, the last time it was there, was also about exploration and frontiers. And it was when the age of exploration began. We started going to the Arctic Circle, expeditions, race towards the poles, and mapping the last unknown land on Earth. The humanity was pushing the final frontiers of Earth. Now again, the explorative spirits of humans will be reborn powerfully. I don't know if it's in space this time or on Earth, but we'll start exploring, maybe even discovering things on Earth. The explorers, the discoverers, they'll become new heroes. We'll discover such new things that open our lives, like to see reality in a different way. In every science, explorers and frontiers in science, in art, in music, in discovering even new lands on this earth. Who knows? It is possible. And then there was huge exploration and frontiers in, well, I think also in the spiritual realms. I think that's where the frontiers will come, because that's the most unexplored realm for us. So that's where I think it's going to go. But also in last time Neptune is Aries was when the germ theory revolution happened. Louis Pasteur, birth of modern surgery and medicine. Now we're coming full circle, coming again, maybe a new theory that's different than germ theory emerges. Maybe, and a lot of people and scientists have been noticing that is germ theory, it's more moving towards terrain theory. That, yeah, everyone around you can have the flu and you don't get it because your terrain is cleaner. And the flu is actually detoxing your body. The virus is actually the little information that goes from you to another to start detoxing their body from the toxins. So that's what germs actually are, you know. They show what the terrain is, but the true thing is not germ. You can be with around people plagued by plague and whatever and not get anything. If your terrain is, so we'll see where medicine in the body wave of Neptune in Aries will come into, because Neptune rules everything, invisible germs and stuff. But I think we'll move away from the germ theory. And we'll start gaining more control over diseases. For the first time, we gained more control over disease was with Neptune in Aries, because of the germ theory, but that brought in a lot of what was it called, like hygiene as well. Now, again, hopefully hygiene, internal hygiene of the body and the blood, because Aries rules the blood, and the blood is the most important for our immune system. That's where the red blood, the white blood cells are. So what can I tell you, see? And there'll be an explosion of entrepreneurs, people that startups. Aries is startup. When you're in a space there 14, 15 years ago, it was huge, especially with online entrepreneurs, businesses, startups. Now with Neptune there and Saturn, there'll be a lot of, not online, but there'll be a lot of new people trying to be independent, not to rely on companies, trying to start their own business, but at a new level, at a level that I can't even imagine, at a new way of operating. So, in summary, what is Neptune in Aries? That's how the modern world was born. That's how the new modern world will be born. That will be new identities. That will be connecting us even more globally through infrastructure and through telecommunication, like we saw the last time it happened. It's faster to move from one point of the earth to another. Nations will find new identities. What I'm just worried is the race wars or something like that, or kind of wars overall, because this is Aries. There will be new technologies that come a lot, industrialization, but on a different level that we know it before. And just spiritual awakening like we've never seen in our time of life. Like dispensation from above to new reality, new self of reality, new sense of reality, a new sense of self, and taking much more personal responsibility and much more focus on the individual rights of a person in Aries, individual rights. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to know how Neptune in Aries will specifically affect you, my webinar that is discounted for you, Neptune in Aries. Now this is pure astrology with personal stories. Neptune transited my ascendant in Aries the year and the month I moved to a faraway country. Neptune rules faraway countries, cultures, and lived there for 20 years. So just very powerful example to give you how Neptune can affect us. Faraway countries living, I had to create a new identity, So enjoy. If you have any Neptune transit, check out my webinar. It's already sold a few thousand, I think, of it when I released in 2025 with no refunds because people loved it, and you can use it for the next 14 years. Every time you have a Neptune transit, you'll see what it means for you. So I hope it's useful for you. Enjoy the birth of the new civilization and the new 2.0 version of yourself with your own personal efforts, though. And no longer saviors. Neptune is not in Pisces. We're not going to be relying on saviors. We'll be relying on ourselves.